I loved this term that I heard you say, every child has a spark. So can we start there? When we talk about, because so much of your work is on character development or morality, and people tend to think of those as kind of rigid. But I actually think you're saying something different. You're talking about every child has a spark. Every child has a purpose, has a vocation. And that may be the basis of character education or moral education. So can you explain to us a little bit about that concept?
Sure. Well, there's both a general and an individual part to the spark. And the general is something that we all share as a species, which is that every child is born with a natural disposition towards empathy. And that's something we've learned from, at this point, decades of research of studying newborns and lots of clever experimentation that I won't get into right now. But we do know that everyone has that potential to care for other people and is born with that emotional sharing of other people's distress or joy or whatever the emotion is. And that's a very powerful moral predisposition. Now, everybody doesn't always develop that in a full way, and that's the role of learning. But that general disposition is part of everybody's moral concern and is part of the moral spark that everyone shares. Beyond that, and this is a very important thing that educators, I think, really need to come to terms with, is that everybody's an individual. Everybody really is a snowflake in a sense, and every child has some special talent or interest or potential that is his or her own. And that's the job of parents and teachers to help the child develop that. First, by recognizing what it is and allowing the child the space and the freedom to explore it. But once the child begins to express it, giving the child resources and material and encouragement to develop what that is. And a lot of purpose development, the reason purpose is such a powerful and interesting part of life is that purpose, of course, has great meaning for everybody and great benefits to both the person and society. In that sense, it's something everyone shares, but everybody's purpose is special, is their own individual take on life. And the only way children are going to develop that in a complete way is to find their own talents and interests and discover what it is, number one, they love to do, number two, they're capable of doing, something they have some talent at, and number three, something they believe in, something that they see as adding to the world in a powerful way. When a child discovers those three things in their own individual way, the child is ready to develop and commit to a purposeful life.
That's fascinating. And, I find that so interesting because one of the key authors I teach in the Scholar program is Jacques Maritain in his book, Education at the Crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to remind people that as important as, the social role of the child might be or their, eventual job, the real engine of education is the student himself or herself because they have this inner spark. And as a teacher, I've certainly experienced that in the classroom. When you tap into that inner spark, the student really livens up. Now, you don't mean this to say that if my inner spark isn't mathematics, I don't study mathematics, or if my inner spark isn't art, I don't study art.
Oh, of course.
You just mean it to say that the student, in the process of learning a whole variety of things, that's part of how they come to know what their greatest talent or what their greatest aspiration is.
Absolutely.
Now, mm-hmm.
These are not either or. I'm a big believer in liberal arts, meaning that general education, and it's important that even computer nerds learn to appreciate great artwork, and great artists learn to count and do numbers. So that all of that's important. But in addition to that, everyone deserves a chance to go deep into something that they're special at. And so educators really need to do both, allow people the freedom to go as far as they can in their own area, but also provide them with the general knowledge that enables them to enjoy all of life and function in society.